Welcome to everyone here today and the people joining us by live stream. So we're looking at a problem. So this was a problem when I was at Arete. We had about 30 active members. Now that I'm at Mount Maunganui, it's also an issue with 300 active members. The problem is a lack of IRB drivers. And one possible solution we found for this is right in front of us. It's women, or as we like to call them, Wahine. So today I'll go through the purpose. We're going to have Paul Hardy from PIHA talk about the background. Phoebe from Onimana is going to talk about the strategy. Julia from Mount Maunganui will talk about the outcomes. And so we got that around the wrong way. And we'll talk about the recommendations. Then myself, Philip Perry from Mount Maunganui, will talk about the conclusions. So our purpose is to get more IRB drivers, but our vision is to start a movement developing confident and competent females in inflatable rescue boats. So now we're going to have Paul Hardy, and he's going to talk about the background to our project.
So the first part, I guess, was we talked to Danny Shepherd from the NLC, and she'd done a discussion paper which she'd presented on, and I think we can all acknowledge that there's national shortage of IRB drivers. There's that constant feedback from clubs saying around trying to get IRB drivers on patrol and burnout and that sort of thing. And she looked into the pathway of the IRB Drivers Award and the SLS&Z education pathway, and she sort of posed the question about involving more women in IRBs as a potential solution. So we started looking more into the data, and so we looked at the 5-year trend of Surf Lifeguard Awards, and that's pretty much 50-50. This is 2017-18, but it's 50-50 male and female qualifying as surf lifeguards. But then when we start looking at IRB drivers, it's a little bit concerning that a third of IRB drivers are women who qualify, but what's probably the most concerning thing that we've seen is that of those, only half go on to refresh that award. So recruitment's one thing, and we're a pretty attractive organisation, and it's a pretty attractive award. But then retention that's a key issue that we'd like to focus on. So that's the same stats there, just a better way of looking at it. So yeah, that sort of speaks for itself, I guess. So we looked at Sport New Zealand, and while I can acknowledge we're not a sport organisation as per se, it's kind of that volunteer involvement in clubs that they focus on, and whether it's life-saving or sport, it's all kind of the same thing. So their discussion paper and what they've said is that females of all ages are more likely to want to get involved in sport clubs, but the barriers are consistently higher for women to get involved. And then that's quite a general statement, and there's probably a lot more barriers that they noted down. But what we looked at was what young women and girls want in sport clubs is those kind of dot points. So having fun, socialising, feeling safe to participate, not feeling judged, keeping fit, feeling confident, and being flexible. So that all kind of feeds into a survey we did of all current active and refreshed IRB drivers across the country, which we had good feedback on, and Julia's going to touch on that, and it all kind of ties together, so we can see some conflict between what girls want and what we're currently delivering as an organisation.
Thank you, Paul. So now we'll have Julia who's going to talk about our strategy for addressing these issues.
So we needed to develop a strategy to get our movement, Wahine on Water, rolling. So for our strategy, we sent out a survey to research issues around why we have less females than males driving IRBs. From our survey results, we came up with some strategies and highlighted a few key barriers that we wanted to knock down. And then we also needed support from clubs to make it a nationwide movement. So in our survey, we sent it out to all refreshed female IRB drivers, and we got over 100 responses. and some of our responses highlighted lack of female role models. So a few of the barriers that came up and were highlighted in our survey. There aren't many female drivers, lacks females in some clubs, so we needed to find a solution about this. Some other barriers were intimidation, lack of opportunity, and again, lack of instructors, or fear that the IRB is dangerous. So intimidation for a 16-year-old girl going to her first IRB training day and watching all the boys carry the motors and lift these boats, and then they stand at a boat and try and lift it, and they can't because sometimes girls aren't strong enough. They need the proper technique, they need to be taught how to do things because we can do it, we just need to know how to do it. So some of these things, so how are we going to get more women to drive IRBs? We asked in our survey, and this is what they came up with. Club encouragement, get their technique right. As I said before, it can be a little bit different physically for males and females. Some other things were female-driven teaching, emphasising confidence in females, and some more one-on-one instructions from female role models. So the strategies to increase number of women IRB drivers, we came up with 3. So we had a mentor role, so we contacted every club and we wanted ideally a mentor, female role model or mentor from each club to be a point of contact for us through a Facebook page, but also be a role model within their club for young female drivers. We wanted coverage, so social media plans, like a presence on social media. What you can't see, you can't be. So with Jamie Troughton from Describe Journalism, we helped create a social media plan and took some photos around IRB racing, so females in IRB racing, patrolling and searching, all those sorts of scenarios, which you'll see throughout our slideshow. We did some news articles in Locker Room and Sun Live, and newspapers got behind us. And then we also have a hashtag Wahine on Water, which throughout IRB days we ask girls to, well, females when they're coming to our days and posting on Instagram, tag us in their photos so we can see what everyone's getting up to with our hashtag. So, and then we also had networking. So that was our 3rd thing. We wanted to create these IRB days for females especially, and from this we could draw inspiration from other clubs who did lack female role models, come along to maybe an unfamiliar beach, get to learn how to drive IRBs and be inspired by other female role models. So here we have some news articles and surf lifesaving Instagram posts about females in boats, another news article and some Facebook posts. And then this is our Instagram hashtag that's taken off just after a couple of days in the water with the Wahines.
So those are some fantastic sounding strategies. So now Phoebe's going to show us the outcome of our strategies and what we've achieved.
Cool, yep. So one of the first ways we implemented our strategies was through our mentor Facebook page. So originally the idea for this was for the clubs to nominate a mentor, as Julia said earlier, and we'd add them to this Facebook page. But we also shoulder tapped a couple of people that we thought would be a good advocate for our movement, and we put them in the page. So we've got about 56 members. So this is a platform that's great for them to communicate with each other, share ideas, and then also for us to keep everyone updated on what we're getting up to. And yeah, just get like-minded people involved in our movement. So another way we implemented our strategy was through female IRB training days. So our first day was held in Whangata on the 13th of April. We had 20 attendees, and then on top of that we had approximately 12 mentors. We had 7 boats, and then at the end of our training day we also did a bit of a trip out to Donut Island. After this we had a shared dinner where everyone got to chat and get to know each other a little bit better. So here's a couple of photos from the day. So this is the group that came along, and then just some of what everyone got up to really. Cool, and so our second Wahine on Water Day was held a bit more recently in Omanu. It was the same weekend as the IRB long haul, so there was a lot of people already in the area that were able to come and bring their boats. We had 40 attendees and about 23 mentors, which was double our Whangata Day, so it was huge. We also had a really large range, so we had of ages. So we had 14-year-olds right up to 55-year-olds. We had people who had never been in an IRB before, to people that were pretty much ready to sit their IRB exam. We had a whole 17 boats, 3 jet skis, 2 Can-Ams. We had Jamie Charlton as the photographer. We had a guest speaker, and then also a shared breakfast before, so everyone got to know each other before getting out on the water.
Right, so we're just going to hand out a few day plans, then we'll talk to them.
Cool, so there's just a couple of photos from Omanu Day. Cool, so if you just want to take a look at the first page, you'll see that we've got a bit of an outline. So this was the day plan that we used. We used this outline for both our Whangatara and Omanu days, but this is our Omanu version. So we had everyone arriving at about 7:30, setting up the boats and getting all ready for the day and setting up our arenas. Then we had a bit of an instructor/mentor briefing where we told them the plan for the day, ran them through what we're going to do, and obviously the vision for this project. After this, we had a bit of a shared breakfast where everyone got to listen to Danny Shepherd, our guest speaker. So she was the one that kind of started the research on this, and she talked to us about how girls aren't often necessarily intentionally excluded from IRBs, but often might just be a bit left behind or might not necessarily be shown the door to new opportunities. So that was really awesome. After that, we kind of split into 4 groups, and split them into their ability and confidence around IRBs, so they were all learning with people that were the same skill level as them and felt confident about it. After this, if you want to turn over the page, we headed into our on-land rotations. So we had the girls do rotations on land before they headed down to the beach, so they got familiar with the boat. So our first station was starting the boat in the flush tank. So we had them practice starting the boat in the boat or out of the boat with 1 hand or 2 hands, and just getting comfortable with that. And all the girls were definitely capable of doing that, but a lot of them were just nervous and didn't actually realise that they were able to do it. Secondly, we had lifting the engine onto the IRB, so just showing them how they were able to do that in pairs and things. After that, we showed them how to adjust steering and tilt stiffness. Following this, we then took them through getting the boats on and off the trailers, which again, definitely they're all capable of doing. It's just showing them the best way to do that. So following this, we headed down onto the beach for our on-beach and in-water activities. So again, we had 4 rotations and they just stayed in their same skill groups. So our first rotation was around the ATV and the trailer. So the girls practiced driving with the trailer and reversing with the trailer and getting familiar with that. While this was going on, the girls also had the opportunity to go out on the jet ski and have a turn on the sled, which was awesome because they can see that as another opportunity that they could go down in the future, a different pathway. The next rotation was with the IRB launching and returning to shore. So all the females got a turn at going in and out, just getting comfortable with starting the boat in the water and beaching it. Following this, we did some IRB driving and throttle control, so figure of 8s and getting comfortable driving in the waves. And then again, like if they weren't comfortable with that and they weren't quite up to that level, we could take them out the back and they could just have a turn driving in the flat water without waves. And then the last in-water rotation was around patient pickups. So again, with varying skill levels, we just had some of them picking up a tube, some of them high-fiving a patient, and then some of them actually getting the patient into the boat, just depending what they were comfortable with. After this, so in our Whangatara day, at this time, we then proceeded to go out to Donut Island, but which we had planned to do. We planned to go out to Rabbit Island in Omanu, but the weather wasn't so good, so we decided to just start packing up a bit early and also do a bit of reinstatement practice, which was great for those who were starting to get close to sitting their IRB driving exam. Yeah.
Sweet. That sounds like a pretty exciting day, Phoebe. What sort of feedback do we have, Julia?
Yeah, so we sent out a questionnaire after our IRB days, and we got everyone to say what they liked, what they didn't like, any improvements and things like that. Something interesting we found was that 100% of our responses or respondents said that they would go to another day, and 100% would refer it to a friend, which was really cool to see. Some quotes from our questionnaire were that they enjoyed seeing strong women role models being developed, which was linking back to our feedback that we got at the start from our survey. There are a lack of female role models, and we need to be developing more. Another one was it was a positive, supportive environment, and we were improving confidence, which again links back to our vision of increasing the number of confident and competent women driving IRBs.
Sweet, so now Julie is just going to talk about a couple of recommendations we have to take this project further.
So some recommendations that we have, we obviously, our BP Leaders for Life program is ending, but our project definitely needs to still continue. So we would like this program to be recognised by Surf Life Saving New Zealand and for them to endorse it. We could engage a sponsor or employee to support the program, but with this happening, we would also really love to still be involved with the organisation.
Sweet, so you've heard the outline, and we've delivered quite a successful pilot program so far. So I went over the purpose at the start. Paul has covered the background, and that there is a statistical need to get more females driving, and hopefully it can address part of our driver shortage. We then had Julia discuss our strategy. So as part of that strategy, it was really successful. Some of our posts on the internet had over 750 likes, so we had quite a bit of success creating a bit of buzz online. Then Phoebe discussed, the massive support we had for our female networking and driver training days. And following this, we've had Paul sort of look into funding options. So there are some specific funding options for women in sport and women leadership. So Paul sent an email through to Surf Life Saving commercial team asking them to investigate these options further. So conclusion, we've started a movement to get more females involved in inflatable rescue boat driving and leading clubs, Wahine's on water. This is something we need everyone in the room to do today, and those joining us via video conference. If you see an upcoming training day, we need you to just shoulder tap the younger women in your club and invite them along, and just really encourage them to get involved in the boats. If you see any negative behaviour in your club, address that as well. If someone's criticising women driving, just say they just need more time in the boat. So and from Surf Life Saving NZ, we do ask that we could get some more support so we can roll this out across all the regions quicker, as we're just volunteers. We will continue to do it at a local level, but to roll it out across the country, we will need further support. So we'll just open the floor and we'd invite you to ask any questions now.
When's your next training day, please?
So at the moment, we're just planning those at the moment, but so our first planned one is going to be in Orewa on the 4th of August at the moment, and then hopefully we're looking to have another couple in Auckland, and then maybe Christchurch, Wellington and Dunedin.
Yes?
Why do you need Surf Life Saving to keep this going? Like, why do you need us as staff members to do this, whereas you guys are already creating all this buzz and having all this influence as people who've started this program? What am I going to do to be able to help you make it better?
Yeah, so we can all talk to that. Yeah. So obviously we're all in full-time jobs currently outside of surf, and how we'd like to see this day structured, we do want to keep as a membership-run initiative. So what we'd like to see is one Surf Life Saving NZ employee to be in Paul Lloyd as like a half full-time equivalent staff member, and then each different region have 2 female IRB drivers that are quite experienced and recognised, and they work with the club development officer to deliver these. But I guess we have tried to just roll it out, but there is, each day we organise, we probably put in about 20 hours. We had Chaz, the local club development officer, he would have put in at least 30 hours as well, so we can continue to do it, but it's just going to be a very slow roller. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, basically that. There's a lot to go in. We did health and safety plans, day plans, all that sort of thing. And the health and safety plans are pretty generic, but they do need to be specific for each day and things like that. Organisation of boats from regions, fuel, things like that. It was all just little things that we were doing after work, before work, on the weekends that, yeah, could be really clear for someone who focused on just that, I guess.
Question from Belinda. What sort of costs are you looking at to run a training day?
You might as well talk to us on Phoebe.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, at the moment it was like completely free. We were super lucky to have great support from the Eastern Region office for both of our events, and also surf clubs and our mentors that came along and helped out in their own time. So yeah, it was free, and we'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, just hopefully with support from Surf Life Saving New Zealand or even a sponsor, we could keep it.
I think the cost question was not directed at the participant, it was more the others.
Oh.
Not the important one.
So I think, for our 2 previous days, so we've had Chaz he would have put in over 30 hours of work into delivering the 2 Eastern Region days. So there will be a cost to Surf Life Saving NZ, but there is funding available. Well, we believe there's funding available for women in sport and women leadership opportunities. So this is funding, as far as we're aware of, Surf Life Saving NZ hasn't tapped into yet. And this is a program that can directly apply for that funding.
So if you had to put a dollar amount on it?
So if we're going to put a dollar amount on it, we can get, I think, what were the numbers we can get from the funding sources we looked at?
No, sorry, for the cost per day.
For a day.
No, we haven't really added that up, but we
Yeah.
could, and we could come back to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
So is it only females allowed at this stage? Like, are there any males around, or?
No. Yeah, so males are definitely most welcome. It's just aimed at females because that's where we see the need is to have more female IOB drivers. So yeah, males are welcome to show up. We had quite a few great male instructors that came along and helped out. But yeah, just at the moment it's aimed at females to increase that number.
What's your criteria for having those female leaders of the entire, because you talked about having those, your 1 regional person in charge and 2 experienced female drivers who can then go and implement it locally. Are you going to pull those experienced females from the lifeguarding side, the sports side? Have you got a criteria for that? Is it
I don't
just who you
think,
know, what you know?
as long as they are supporting the movement and are really passionate about it, I think we'd be keen to have anyone involved.
Because the main thing on the day, so you'll have the club development officer there, and he'll hopefully help you have the contact. So you also have the district examiner, and every club that's bringing more than 4 people, we like them to bring an experienced IRB driver with them as well. So those 2 females, they don't necessarily have to have the skills to train everyone. They just need to have the passion to, really promote the event. Because if we, the reason why our days were so successful in the Bay Plenty is, these 2 girls have got the fantastic contacts, and they can shoulder tap and get everyone to turn up. So it's quite important to have the local people on the ground running the day, and just, they know the people that they should be inviting.
Question for Paul from the webcam, from James Bray. Actually, he's not here. He's disappeared on a catering mission. Is this something that Surf Life Saving Australia would look to pick up? And do they have similar issues?
Yeah, so we've had, I've had a bit of involvement with Nixie, so she's been over on 3 life-saving exchanges with Northern Region previously, and she's like totally into that. She's run a few club female training days. Obviously the scale's kind of there, so they can get 20 females within a club and do a day, and there are definitely opportunities that could be rolled out within Surf.
So those that don't know, might explain your role within that in Australia.
Yeah, so I work for Surf Life Saving New South Wales as Life Saving Operations Coordinator, but I've got a background as the training supervisor at Northern Region, so I think in training and life saving go hand in hand, and I've formed good relationships in the education department, my new role, so yeah, definitely.
Yep, John.
How will you measure the success of your events? How will you know that the women that come onto your event go on to be more successful drivers within their clubs and their regions?
Well, we'll have to wait until. So our day isn't supposed to replace the district, training weekends. It's more supposed to be an introduction to get the passion there. So I guess what we'll see is in a couple of months' time, when Chaz and Eastern Region run an IRB training weekend, we'll be able to compare the number of females that previously attended it to how many attend this year, and see if we see a direct increase in number.
And ideally, we'd see the ones who attended as participants last year, they go back to their clubs, do a bit of work, they come back as mentors, and then they eventually end up as the champions for that region and keep progressing.
Are you looking for more female drivers or better female drivers?
Both. So we want to.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. Do you want more or better?
We can have the cake and eat, we can have the money and the bag.
So the idea of these training days is to inspire more females to get into the boat driving, but it's also not just aimed at people who don't have their drivers yet. So people who maybe aren't that confident or aren't very good at driving come along and they might learn racing skills because they already know how to start the boat and things like that. So anyone's welcome to come along and just improve their skills.
One thing that I don't know if it's been mentioned, but one thing that sort of came up in the survey was a lot of girls have a really negative first experience in an IRB. Maybe I'll use the word probably not correctly, but they'll go out with a meathead. They'll just try and see how many young girls they can make scream in the boat. So one thing we want to do with our days is just have a real positive first experience in an IRB. So they'll want to come back and they'll want to, when the other training opportunities come up, they'll really want to go for it.
You already sort of started to answer my question, but I saw firsthand how positive the Wahine on Water Day was down in Romano. What are the strategies that we need to implement, or what are the things that we need to do to eliminate that toxic meathead mentality in clubs that exists? Do you guys?
I think Phil's touched on it a bit before. He talked about when he addressed everyone watching today and said if you see that behaviour within your clubs, to address that, it's like the behaviour you walk past is the behaviour you endorse. So if you're not comfortable with something, address it right there, or get some help too. But obviously, the room we're addressing and the people we're addressing are going to be people that are well respected, and you guys will address that straight away. I know each other.
So as part of one of the news articles Julia prepared, we did sort of touch on these issues. So hopefully we've sort of raised member awareness of, that's not the appropriate way to introduce girls to IRB driving. You want a positive first experience. So we'll send out some links to some of the news articles we've had, and you can read in depth on some of the sort of general culture changes we've tried to introduce.
Do you think a program will help feed more women into National Lifeguard School? We have to have your drivers as a prerequisite, and I know myself, I sat my drivers to go to National Lifeguard School, and then I kind of fizzled. Do you think it'll help keep that retention going forward and refreshing and attending the school and stuff?
Yep, definitely. Like, for example, the most recent National Lifeguard School, there was only 5 girls out of 20. So hopefully, with more and more girls getting their drivers award, it can open up leadership opportunities and the opportunity for them to attend things like National Lifeguard School. So that's really kind of the end goal as well, I guess.
Well, even for me personally, I could probably list 4 people who would be good candidates at National Lifeguard School, and then as soon as you tell them you need your drivers, they're like, oh, okay, So if we can get more females driving boats, then for sure.
And if we got more females with their IRB drivers, as part of the senior lifeguard criteria, and also go hand in hand with patrol captains. So we'd hopefully see more female patrol captains as a result of the Wahine on Water Days.
Yeah, I think that kind of touches on something that we've been hinting, and it says it on one slide, but IRBs is just one avenue. The overall goal is creating women as leaders within their clubs and across the country.
Did you have any statistical breakdown around, between areas with the amount of females in those leadership positions or with those driving stats?
I did have a look, and I've got the graphs there.
Yeah.
We'll definitely, I don't know if we have an email list of everyone attending today, or via Gav can send out some extra info, and definitely just how to access the lesson plans and everything. You guys can champion that.
it'd be interesting to see the relationships between those driving qualifications, the leadership positions, and between the areas. Because I know, I'm a little bit biased with the eastern region. Especially in the Coromandel, we do have a lot of leadership in the female sector. There are quite a few female drivers, and I think a lot of us are in this room. But it'd be interesting to see where that spreads out for nationally.
Let's have a look. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah.
As part of our presentation, obviously we didn't achieve this by ourselves, so we've got a few special people we need to recognise. So firstly, Chaz Gibbons, so he put a massive amount of time in helping us reviewing our day plans and assisting with logistics and organisation of our 2 days that we held in the Eastern region. Now up here, this good looking man is Jamie Troughton. So he helped with our media side of things and creating a media buzz, creating some resources like the promotional photos and the material we used. BP for being a major supporter of the Leaders for Life program, which we've all been a part of. And lastly, the fellow people and mentors on this program have assisted us greatly. On our Manu Day, I know we had several people from this room come and help us deliver that day, so it's really been a team effort delivering this program, along with sharing and shoulder tapping people from your clubs.